No problems. Good afternoon. Firstly, can I just introduce who we have here with us? Obviously the Minister for Police, Assistant Commissioner Brad Royce of our State Crime. Next to him is the Senior Investigating Officer for this task force, Detective Inspector Quinton Flatman. Detective Superintendent Rod Wild is the head of the task force. You'll all know Inspector John Munday, who led the land search and commanded the crime scene out at the blowholes, and Detective Senior Sergeant Cameron Blaine of the Homicide Squad was one of the 4 officers that actually went in and rescued this girl. What a great day. We now have returned Cleo to her loving parents. It's a wonderful day for this little girl and her loving family. It is a really special day for Western Australia. Indeed, I know the nation is rejoicing over the fact that we've been able to conduct this operation and we never gave up hope. And I know that Cleo's parents never gave up hope, and it is just such a wonderful opportunity for me to say thank you. But before I say any more words, can I allow Minister Paul Papalia to say a few words?
Thanks, Commissioner. If you feel the need to thank God today, thank God for the Western Australian Police Force. Cleo's rescue wasn't the result of an accidental sighting or a suspicious event. It was the result of hard police grind. From the moment this incident began, the Western Australian Police Force conducted themselves to the absolute highest level of professionalism. Western Australians are already incredibly proud of our police force for having kept them the safest place on the globe through this pandemic. Now they have added reason to be incredibly proud of the Western Australian Police Force for delivering Cleo from this nightmare and bringing a little bit of sunshine into an otherwise dark world. And Chris.
Thanks, Minister. Look, to Ellie and Jake and the family, we're so thankful, and for those of you that have been hoping, wishing and praying that we were able to find little Cleo alive and give her back to you in your arms, it is just a wonderful, wonderful day. And it's a day we all hope for. Look, I'm just so proud of the team that I have behind me, but there's 140 in this team. Many of them are still at work here right now, and there's a whole bunch of them back in Perth. We will be working through this for the next week or 2 at least. There's much more work yet to be done, but I'm just the proudest police commissioner I think in the world at the moment. To the team that have worked tirelessly, police officers and analysts, our forensic officers, the people behind the scenes, our media team, they've gelled together from day one here. From the moment Inspector John Munday and the uniformed officers declared a protected forensic scene within minutes of arrival, that commenced an enormous operation to the outcome that was achieved at about 1 a.m. this morning, when 4 officers went in and broke down the door and found little Cleo in a room. And as you can see, she's alive, she's safe, and she's back with Mum and Dad. We said we wouldn't give up, we said we would keep on searching, and we dared to hope. I'd like to extend my gratitude also to Premier Mark McGowan and Minister Paul Papalia. The state government have stood behind the Western Australian Police Force. We're not wanting for resources. They immediately offered a $1 million reward. But beyond the state government, I really want to thank not only the immediate family, the town of Carnarvon stood up. We had volunteers, we had the SES, we had the Army, we had private companies, everyone wanted to achieve what actually some never thought would happen. And I really want to extend my thanks to all who've been either searching, those that have sent well wishes. The police station here is full of flowers and chocolates already, not that these blokes need it, but at the same time, I just really want to reinforce my thanks to all of Western Australia, indeed Australia, and I've already had messages across the country from police and indeed those across the world. Look, I extend my thanks also to the media. You've kept this story running and front of mind for everyone, and that's really important because we needed to get these messages out, and I thank you for keeping the hope of finding Cleo alive a real and a present story which we now can all celebrate in terms of this. To the people of Western Australia, you are our eyes and ears. You gave us lots of information. It's still coming in, and we, one, appreciate what you've already provided for us and what is yet still to come. We have one 36-year-old man in custody. He is assisting police with our inquiries at the moment. I'm not going to elaborate further in terms of that man, other than saying he's a local man from Carnarvon, and we will be having something further to say later. I once again want to reinforce my thanks to a great team, assisted by a great community. The town of Carnarvon can stand strong, and as a community I do appeal to the community to come together as you have. Yes, we have one man in custody, but that is not the town of Carnarvon. You know, that is one person. And I want the town of Carnarvon and everyone else to come together as a community as we move forward, and we can rejoice that this little girl's been found, but we need to move forward as a community as well. So with those few words, thank you for your assistance, and I'll invite Rod Wild to say a few words.
Thanks. Excuse me. Thank you, Commissioner. I also would like to thank the community. It's been a fantastic effort. From day one, we were seeking assistance. We had over 1,000 calls from the community, from people around Western Australia providing information. So we're extremely grateful for that. Also the media, businesses, everyone that got on board. We couldn't have done this without you. To my team as well, thank you. It was just a fantastic effort. People worked basically without sleep from the first occurrence when this happened 17, 18 days ago. They were here and they worked tirelessly. They never gave up hope, and we got the result that we're all so grateful for. Take questions if you like.
Right. As the chief investigator in this case, when you got that early morning phone call this morning, and you saw that body cam vision with the little girl saying, "My name is Cleo," what were your emotions?
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, it was. It was very emotional to see that. It's something, like I said, we hoped for. We obviously had real concerns for Cleo's welfare, and as time passed by, they grew worse. So to see that, it was just amazing. It was an amazing outcome.
And statistically, it doesn't often turn out like this. So what were the emotions of the team when you thought we found it?
Look, the same thing, I think. Look, people were in tears. It's fair to say it was just an amazing outcome. We hoped, we kept working with that belief that we could get there. We could find Cleo. And look, I don't know what happened, but we were lucky and we did.
How much did that mobile phone data have to do with the arrest?
Look, that's part of the investigation. That's certainly that we collected a lot of data. That's what we do in these types of investigations. It's a thorough investigation. You would have seen officers going around to every CCTV location within Carnarvon, within 1,000 kilometres. So that's the level of detail you go to in these investigations. We collected that information, then we have to analyse, and then we look for what we're looking for, and we were lucky we found it.
Was there a tip-off?
That led you to that house?
It was the hard work. It was the hard work of the team that did it, analysing all of that information, gathering it all, working through it, and finding that needle in that haystack.
There is a rumour among locals that the police were made aware of her whereabouts after some local kids actually broke into the house. Is there any truth to that?
No, that's not true.
Was there a tip-off, Rod, that police were acting on?
No, there wasn't. So, like I say, it was really the analysis, all the work of the team, going through that to get us where we were, where we are today.
When
So
did
that
this
was
man...
just a piece of the puzzle, was it? Like, you know, the CCTV, the phone data, it all sort of added up?
Yeah, like I said, I think in the early days, it's a methodical investigation. We had to gather all of this information, all of this evidence, put it all together, paint the picture of what happened, interview all the witnesses, speak to everyone who was out there so we could understand exactly what happened. Then it's a matter of piecing it through, working out who was where at the wrong time, and that's what's happened.
When did this man become a suspect? Was it yesterday?
It was only yesterday.
How's mum and dad?
Oh, look, they're ecstatic, obviously. They got the little girl back.
Rod, was he?
That picture says so much, but can you tell us a bit more about how she's going?
Look, I wasn't there this morning. The team were there, but she's a beautiful little girl.
Rod, was the 36-year-old at the house when officers arrived?
No, look, I can't go into that at this time.
Can you tell us whether or not you believe Cleo was at that house for the entire time that she's been missing?
Again, that's something that we're investigating.
Do you think he was acting alone, Rod?
We're not. There's no other person that we suspect being involved.
At this stage, can you confirm that she was definitely abducted from the campsite?
I can confirm that, yes.
The car you were looking for so long, the car started turning south towards Carnarvon. Was it that car?
Look, the investigations are still ongoing in relation to that, but I'd say that's a crucial piece of information as well.
Can you confirm it was indeed a sedan?
We can't at this time, but like I say, it's a piece of information we're still investigating.
Rod, was this, do you think, planned or opportunistic?
Look, it appears as if it was opportunistic.
So there's no link between the man in custody and Cleo and Cleo's family in any way?
No.
Was this man on that list of known sex offenders that the police commissioner working with?
No, he wasn't.
There is some suggestion from locals that this man perhaps maybe... People have discussed the possibility of him being unhealthily interested in children before. Were police aware of that?
Look, we hadn't received any of that information.
Was he known to local police at all?
Look, I can't go into that, obviously, given the legal proceedings.
Can you tell us when Cleo's parents found out the good news?
Look, it was shortly after we found her. So shortly afterwards, some of our officers had probably the best job in the world of taking her back to her parents.
Did they know in
Go
advance?
to hospital straight from there?
Yeah, we took her to hospital, obviously, to make sure she's okay. She was reunited with her parents along the way, so it happened pretty quickly, but yeah, look, it was fantastic.
Right, does she appear to be physically okay?
Look, she does, yeah. She's out of the hospital, she's back in the home, yeah.
Can you talk about the planning from when this man became a suspect last night and to when you arrived at the home early this morning?
Yeah, look, it happened fairly rapidly, as these things do. So we plan around that. So as part of the operation, we have planning for that. If we identify a suspect, there's a set of things we go through, and it was very much like that. The team, led by Senior Sergeant Blown on the ground, did a fantastic job. So they rolled into that. They hadn't slept. They worked through the night, and it was just a brilliant outcome.
Who actually broke the great news to Cleo's parents, and what did he say about how it felt?
Well, I believe that was Cameron. He may be,
Right behind the court.
so we can come and say.
Cameron can talk about what it was like being there.
Yeah. Go on, Cam.
Cameron, are you a father, brother?
I am, yes.
Cameron, can I ask you,
That's right, thanks.
as a father, you were there when Cleo was found. How was your emotion?
Well, shock to start with, quickly followed by elation, obviously, and you know, I was just, it could have been any one of the team that were here. It just turned out that I was one of, you know, 4 guys that were fortunate enough to go through that door and make that rescue. But you know, we had always hoped for that outcome, but still, we're not prepared for it. So, yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. And originally, it was, you know, to see her sitting there and in the way that she was, it was just, you know, incredible.
What did she say to you, Cam? What did she say to you?
Well, I asked her what her name was. One of the guys jumped in front of me and picked her up, and I, you know, I just wanted to be absolutely sure that, you know, it certainly looked like Cleo. I wanted to be absolutely sure it was her, so I said, "What's your name?" And she didn't answer, and I said, "What's your name?" She didn't answer again, so I asked her a 3rd time, and then she looked at me and she said, "My name's Cleo." it was and that was it. So then we turned around and walked out of that house, and not long after that got into the car, and the officer I was with, Detective Sergeant Hutchinson, who was the family liaison officer, called Cleo's parents and said, "We've got someone here that wants to speak to you." And it was, you know, a wonderful feeling to be able to make that call. So,
What was their reaction?
oh, you can imagine, just absolute surprise, and they were ecstatic. So things developed so quickly. You know, we didn't really have time to prepare them, and certainly didn't want to give them any false expectations about what might happen. We didn't know ourselves, so you know, it's always a delicate process, you know, when it comes to that. So, you know, still to be able to give them that news and then say, you know, please start making your way to the hospital, we'll meet you there, was fantastic. And it was really, you know, an honour and to be able to witness that reunion. So many of the guys that have been doing long days and long hours, and you know, we're only at the pointy end here, but we're backed by a massive task force, you know, more than half of it back in Perth. But yeah, it was an honour to be able to see that reunion and have a part in doing it. You know,
She was found alone. How did you find her 36-year-old?
I think Mr. Wild's already addressed that. It's not something that we
Did
can go
Cleo
into.
appear to know what was going on?
In what regard, when you say going
Had
on?
she been abducted?
Look, it's really hard to say. You know, there's processes we go through, and you don't want to taint that. So, you know, in terms of recording evidence from people so young, you know, we also need to be mindful of their mental health and their welfare. So, you know, the questions that it was more or less that we were talking to her than she was talking to us. But can I say, having seen her a couple of times this morning, she's a little Energizer bunny, and she, you know, how she has that much energy, I wish I did. I'm about ready to go to sleep. But she was, yeah, so just a very, very sweet, energetic girl, very, very trusting and very open with us. You know, we all wanted to take turns in holding her. So yeah, it was yeah, a really good experience.
We've spoken
Is she
about
physically
Cleo's
okay?
parents.
Was she physically
Was she
okay?
physically
She's
okay?
physically okay. Yeah,
In
and
every way?
that was evident from the start. And you know, taking to the hospital, I guess, was, you know, assurance of that from the people that know what they're doing.
We've spoken about Cleo's parents' reaction to hearing the news, but what was Cleo's reaction to seeing her parents for the first time?
Oh, you know, mummy, big hugs, kisses, yeah, and lots of tears. You know, so as you can expect, you know, it was.
Is this the best moment of your career?
Oh, without a doubt.
Hey Cam, what were conditions like inside the house?
I can't go into that. It's
Yeah.
you know, all of that's part of the investigation. So it's I don't want to go into details of what we saw.
The question everyone wants to know is what led to this breakthrough. Can you confirm that there wasn't a tip-off?
I think Mr. Wild's already been asked that question.
Yeah.
He's answered it.
Neighbours were saying that maybe they saw the gentleman at the home with nappies and wipes, and is that something that's being looked into or at least investigated?
Yeah. Again, there's lots of things left
Maybe
to do
it's
in
a
the
Rod
investigation.
question.
Thanks.
Thank you, Cam. Neighbours, sorry, Rob. Neighbours were saying that that they'd seen a gentleman at the house with nappies and wipes and things that perhaps he usually wasn't buying.
Yeah, look, certainly we'll speak to them, but there was none of that information come to police.
Was there any
Premier
particular
said this
evidence
morning-
involved that helped in the final breakthrough?
Sorry?
Was there any particular evidence that helped in the final breakthrough?
Yeah, like I say, it was just the thoroughness of the investigation. So it was a lot of hard work. It wasn't any one particular thing. It was just the process that we go through in a major investigation, dotting all those I's, crossing those T's.
The Premier this morning talked about a team of 10 analysts who very much assisted in solving the case. Two of them in particular. What's the role of that team? What do they do?
Yeah, look, certainly they're part of the team, part of the task force, as we do in all task force, and they have a crucial role. So a lot of that work behind the scenes around all that data analysis is what they do, and that was extremely helpful in helping us find Cleo.
Just a quick show of hands. Obviously, very very emotional. Did someone else shed a tear? Well, honest, come on.
We all did.
Who cried?
Yeah, who cried?
Most definitely.
Yeah.
It was an amazing moment, and certainly after hearing that, we're all on such a high. So it was just fantastic.
And-
Do you tell us, do police believe they know what the motivation was?
Oh, look, we're still investigating.
Do you know where in the house she was found?
In a bedroom.
Rod, there was a gentleman who was taken to hospital not long ago from the police station here. We've been told that it is the gentleman who is assisting with your inquiries. Any way could you explain what's happened to him?
Yeah, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah. Okay. And no one's probably going to be $1 million richer out of this then?
No, I don't believe so.
No?
Anything more from the Commissioner or anybody else?
Do you expect charges to be laid today?
Probably today, yes.
John London, do you have anything to say being involved in the very early stages of the investigation for relief this suspect?
Yeah, I'd like. Well, this is the outcome I was hoping for when we were doing the land search. Obviously, I played a part at the beginning, and the investigative team sort of took over from us once we were happy that Cleo wasn't in that search area. And this is like something I hoped for, and I'm so pleased, as been reiterated by everybody, that it's ended up this way. But it just shows the hard work and the methodical nature of the way we do things. I'm just really happy to be that we're in this position today.
Oh, look, thanks very much, everyone. Appreciate it.
Don't get used to this, guys, but just this once.
Good with you, Joey.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Much appreciated.